Welcome back. We are here with the Sony Open tournament coming this week. We've got special guest who hopefully will be on this show quite a bit more, Scott Wilson, Will Dog, as you may know him. Scott, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on. And yes, I hope to be here plenty more in the future. Holding it down as the West Coast representative for 19th Fairway.
Absolutely. Scott's out there in California. We're going to have something coming later this month. I don't know if you want to spoil a surprise or wait for it to happen naturally, but look for something later this month.
Yeah, we may or may not be heading to one of the premier golf resorts in the United States. Happens to be on the Oregon coast, but plenty more to come on that front.
Yeah, you can do your research from there if you don't know what we're talking about. But Scott is here in place of Joe, who is in an undisclosed location. Secrets out on that one, but I'm sure he'll be giving you an update soon enough on that. But we're glad to have Scott here. We got the Sony Open still in Hawaii. We're over on Oahu. Honolulu is the location for this tournament. And we're going to do 3 picks each again this week. A bit of a lighter field, even though this is a full field event. They're over at YLA Country Club, built in 1928 by Seth Rayner. Seth threw a couple of cool tweaks into this one. He had 3 holes that were replicas. He had a Redan at the signature par 3/8, a road hole at the 10th, and a Biarritz at the 13th. And then I believe it's the 7th hole as the club members play it, but it's played as the 16th during the Sony Open. That's the one that you see on TV a lot with the famous W trees and the backdrop behind the green. I think if you're watching the broadcast this weekend, you'll see that more than a few times. So lots of exciting things about this course and this tournament in general. It's been played as the Sony Open since 1999, but it started in the 1950s as the, I believe it was the Western Open. But looking forward to this one, Will Dog. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a great tournament. I mean, anytime you get to see Hawaii golf on TV, especially for you being on the East Coast, those harsh winters, I'm sure you get a little envious seeing that Hawaii golf in the middle of January.
Absolutely. I mean, Kapalua, those ocean views are tough to beat, especially it's kind of situated up on the hill there. Waialae, I don't know if you get as many of those ocean views, although it is right on the coast. I think the course is just 12 miles away from the Honolulu airport, if what I read is true. So it's right there. It's accessible. Unfortunately, I don't think you could play this without a member inviting you out, whereas Kapalua, you could stay at the resort and get out there. So very fun tournament. Again, like Will Dog said, I love getting to see Hawaii golf in the middle of January. It's just a treat, and the whole West Coast swing keeps me warm inside as we move through the winter. But that is a little bit about the Sony Open itself. A couple of quick notes I wanted to hit on. One, the golf world lost a legend in Tim Rosafort. He was a career journalist and close to many of the guys on tour, from Jack, Arnie, down to Ricky and JT. Tim was a senior writer at the Golf World magazine and an analyst and contributor for Golf Channel. He lost his battle with Alzheimer's at the age of 66 yesterday, and the whole golf world has been mourning his loss. He was a great contribution for the game. Otherwise, other news that came out yesterday, we have Tom Watson joining Gary Player and Jack Nicklaus in place of Arnold Palmer, and of course Lee Elder, who was in that spot last year. Willie, what did you learn about Tom Watson's great career?
Yeah, that was exciting news. I mean, obviously, Tom Watson was before our time of watching and following golf, so it was interesting to learn a few things about him. He's an 8-time major winner, including winning the Open 5 times, which is pretty crazy. 2 Masters wins, so he's got a couple of green jackets. Just overall, he's got 70 professional wins, so definitely a very impressive career. It makes sense why he's now one of the honorary starters.
Well deserving of that honorary tee shot at Augusta. I mean, 2 green jackets alone, but also, he's got those 5 Open champions. He's a bit of a old Tom Morris himself over there. So looking forward to seeing that happen. Also today, Netflix announced some of their cast members. I shouldn't call them cast members, players from the PGA Tour who will be joining their docu-series, much like the F1 Drive to Survive. I'm not even sure the F1 title, but there'll be a docu-series coming from Netflix where you can follow a little bit behind the scenes from much of the game's top tier players. Really looking forward to that. That should be a great series.
Yeah, that's super exciting news. It'll be great to see behind the scenes, in-depth look at the PGA Tour. I mean, it's something we've never really gotten. So I'm happy that the PGA Tour is finally opening up to this, and hopefully we can see a different side of how the PGA Tour works and how these professional golfers go about their business.
Absolutely, and that paired with the ESPN Plus extra streaming that they've got going for this year, really getting more access to the players and some even I noticed even better mic pickups from caddy and player conversations just at Kapalua last week, and that was kind of a soft drop for that program. Hopefully continues, and that should be pretty good. Looking forward to a lot more coverage overall on the PGA Tour this year.
Yeah, exciting time for golf fans, and it's good to see the PGA Tour making these changes. They're long overdue.
Absolutely. Well, with that, let's get back into our game. Last week, Joe just absolutely ran away with it. I mean, it was kind of a 3-horse race for second place, as we called it. And the way we go about our week-to-week picks is in order of how you placed the week before. So Willie is going to be starting us off with the first pick for the Sony Open this week.
Yeah, disappointing finish for me last week. Went with Spieth first overall. It didn't quite perform for me. So hoping to turn around this week, and first overall, I went with Cam Smith. I mean, the average PGA Tour winner gains about 35% of his strokes against the field on the greens. For the Sony Open, that's actually up around 45%. And we know there's not many better around the greens than Cam Smith. I mean, he's strokes gained short game is first on the PGA Tour. So, I mean, he's the odds-on favorite to win this tournament. Thought it was just a no-brainer first pick.
I think so. He did win that tournament last year, or not last year, the year before. So should have some good luck over on the island. Joe was really excited about picking Cam as an island boy himself. So look forward to that one for you, Willie, as the first overall pick. Garrett, he made a smart selection to go with Hideki. I think Hideki was kind of middle of the pack last week, but he's just a solid overall player. Really can't go wrong. He won the Zozo in Japan in October, obviously won the Masters, and had a steady, it was a T13 at Kapalua. So pretty solid pick for G there. I think that should turn out well for him. I went with the Corey Connors route, making his first start of the season, at least in 2022. He has just been so solid the last couple years, and he's finished T3 and T12 in the last 2 years at Waialae. And his precision tee to green is up there with the best. So really looking forward to Corey Connors as my first selection this year at the Sony Open. And we've got Joe going with an Aussie again.
Yeah. Classic Joe. He loves his Aussies. Again, another guy that's good around the greens. Everyone knows his short game wizardry. I love the Connors pick. I mean, ball striking extraordinaire. So definitely worthy of a first round pick. And Hideki's a no brainer. I mean, his ball striking is up there with the best of them. It's usually on the greens that can get a little troublesome for him. So we'll see how he does this week. But Hideki's a no brainer.
And it's a much more flat course than Kapalua is. I mean, Kapalua obviously is very undulated, running up and down those hills, but I think the tee to green stat should be pretty key for Connors this week. But what about that second round pick? Again, making his first start of the 2022 calendar year.
Yeah, Webb, first start for him, and back to the short course and around the greens theme. I mean, the best scoring average on tour for setups that are less than 7,100 yards is Webb Simpson at a 67.7 scoring average.
Wow.
So he seems to do well on these short courses. I mean, he's a big iron player, not the longest off the tee. So he's actually ahead of Rory, Hideki, Justin Thomas, and Abraham Answer in that stat. So again, thought it was good value getting him in the second round, and hope he can perform well in his first start of the year.
Absolutely. And G going with Sungjae Im. He really showed out at Kapalua. He had 4 sub 70 rounds. 23-year-old is looking for his 4th straight top 20 of the season. He's 3 for 3 at Wailea with 2 top 25s and a scoring average of 67.83. The dude can flat out play. I mean, we've been watching him closely this last year. He's always up there on the top of the leaderboard. I think he was pretty close at Augusta last year. So I'm looking for him to win a few key tournaments. Maybe this is the week to get him started.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Sungjae is nails. He plays a lot of tournaments, but he also led the PGA Tour in number of birdies last year. So the guy he can get around a golf course. And again, another player whose irons are just pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, you said he led the entire PGA Tour in birdies last year. I think the broadcasters on Golf Channel always love to point out that he just plays every single week. I think before he bought his home in Atlanta, I believe he used to be referred to as the guy that didn't even have a set of keys, just would travel hotel to hotel every week, playing every single week. And look where it's gotten him. He's only 23 and right up there at the top. Kevin Kisner is my second round pick. He's, of course, always around. Famous quote from him is, "They pay a hell of a lot for 20th place." I expect him to be in the top 20 a lot more this year. And he snuck right up the leaderboard this last weekend over at Kapalua. And he was, T8. And in his career at Waialae, 7 for 7, making the cut, and 3 top 5 finishes since 2015. And he's the top on tour in fairways hit and T9th in greens and regulation. So again, kind of like that Connors pick, tee to green. Just really looking for some solid plays out of these two. And then Joe with Abe Answer. What do we got on Abe?
We know Joe loves Abe. He's a big fan of his YouTube videos and just his general attitude towards the game of golf. I mean, Abe has really established himself on the PGA Tour as of the last couple of years. So I think Abe's a solid pick no matter what tournament and no matter what course or setup they're playing.
Agreed. Week in and week out, Honest Abe. And you always see a lot of texts from Joe saying CBTM. And of course, that's his ode to Answer's YouTube video. Could be the move. So maybe for Joe this week, Answer at the second round could be the move. What do you got on that third round pick, CH3?
Yeah, a little bit of a pick out of left field for me. I mean, he's been a staple on the PGA Tour for a while now, but the last couple of years he hasn't made too much of a name for himself. But I did see some stats on him in regards to the Sony Open that made me like this pick. So he has 20 career starts, and in those 20 career starts, he's never missed a cut. He has 10 top 10s. He has 59 rounds in the 60s and is totaled 190 under par. Wow. That includes 3 million earned in just this tournament alone. And that's through 20 starts. So was doing a little research on some picks, saw those stats, and I thought he'd be a good flyer with my third round pick.
Yeah, I gotta admit, when I saw CH3 come through, I was like, Charles Howell, didn't even realize he was playing this week. I haven't heard anything about him from any of the broadcasts. Of course, they're all talking about Webb and Cam Smith and some of the bigger names, but I like the pick, Willie. I got to say, I'm rooting for Charles Howell III this week for you, because that's just an exciting play to take. And Garrett went with kind of a safe play. I got to admit, I was thinking about it myself, and Kevin Gnaw. He did win last year, and he's a very consistent player. Arguably should have been on that Ryder Cup team for America last year. I still don't know how to feel about that. It's tough to argue when the team ran away with such a giant victory, but him and Kiz both probably could have played their way onto that team last year. So looking forward to this one for G with the Kevin Gnaw pick. He's ranked 7th in the power rankings, and had a pretty consistent T13 at Kapalua. looks like 14 trips over to Waialae in his career, and he did win last year. So looking forward to seeing a little bit of Kevin Ma rolling the rock and walking in those putts this week. My third round pick should be a little bit surprised, but after last week's performance, it's probably not. Matt Jones, another Aussie on the board for us. He finished solo third, tying the previous tournament scoring record at 32 under. I like Matt Jones because he's a Sun Devil, so that's a little bit of my ASU coming out there, but rooting for Matt Jones. I believe he won the Honda last year, and obviously quite an impressive start to 2022 at Kapalua, 32 under par and didn't win. These scores are just incredible. So looking for something out of Matt Jones again to stay hot.
Yeah, so that would have been a PGA Tour tournament scoring record, and he still finished in third place. So that's how crazy low the scores were at Kapalua last week. And one of the quicker players on tour. I mean, he approaches the ball and he swings right away.
That's right. And he shot 62, 61 on the weekend. And he ran up the leaderboard, but still wasn't good enough to get it done, with Cam Smith and John Rahm going crazy. And he's got, let's see, trio of top 20s at Waialae, and personal best for him there is T11. So hoping he can make better on that and get into the top 10, maybe another top 5 back-to-back weeks. Cam Davis for Joe. Be honest, I don't have a whole lot on him besides winning the Rocket Mortgage in a playoff last year. Remember watching that. I believe it was on 4th of July. That tournament was going on. So Cam Davis, interesting final round pick for Joe. Be interested to see what he says about that. And maybe in the recap show, we'll get Joe back on here to explain his thoughts a little bit behind the Cam Davis pick, or some text messages throughout the weekend here that we'll fill you in on. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything to add on the Cam Davis pick?
No, just another Australian golfer for Joe. He really loves the golfers out of Australia. Definitely a surprising win last year for Cam, but that was good for him. Got him into a lot of tournaments, got him into the Tournament of Champions. So we'll see if he can build off that win and have a good 2022.
Absolutely. Well, we've got our 3 picks in each, 12 players. I want to say there's going to be someone that we're missing, like we were saying about Patrick Cantlay last week. I can't believe we skipped over Cantlay. He's not in the field this week, so wondering who it might be this week that we missed. And there's always going to be a shocker. So looking forward to seeing who that might be. We got the Sony Open intact, getting ready to start tomorrow from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Will Dog, pleasure to have you on here. For those on the YouTube, not quite sure what happened to my screen. It looks like it blanked out on me somewhere halfway into the show, but anyone listening on Spotify, hopefully it's all clear. And thank you again for coming back to see the Sony Open preview show. Willie, we'll be glad to have you on again anytime.
Great. Looking forward to it.
All right.